Hey Alexandra, how you doing? Thanks so much for the bus pictures. That was cool. I enjoyed that. Thank you. All right, so page size, you're at 8.5 by 11. That's a default page size in pretty much any computer software. That page size is set up more as a business application than the design application. And I'm not real sure why design programs default at 8.5 by 11, but you're going to rarely use that page size, especially for something like portfolio. I would think that something more along the lines of the golden section would be, and that's a ratio of 1 to 1.618. And I think that would be a really interesting page size. For example, instead of going 8.5 by 11 here, I would go, um, in the width size. You can go 8.5 by, and we'll multiply that by 1.16, 1.618. And what that's going to do is going to give us a derivative of the golden section. So that 8.5 width size would end up being, that page size would end up being 13.75 wide by 8.5 high. And so try that. It's going to be a rectangular page. It's going to look something like that. And it's really a gorgeous page size for an electronic portfolio. The versatility there is that you can show your work without really encroaching right up here on the margins of the page. Which right now your work is, and then it's a more versatile page size because we have things like this, where when you're trying to show something like this, you're getting really, really caught up because you've got almost 2/3 of your page, or a third of your page, or maybe a half of your page, close to that, is not being used. And we'll talk about that in 1 second too. So think about your page size, something really, really super interesting. And I think we might as well go with what history dictates as being a very interesting page size. And that would be some sort of derivative of the golden section. Again, in this case, I'm using 8.5 by 13.75 to represent that 8.5 multiplied by 1.618 to come up with that page size. Hope that makes sense. If not, it'll get with me and I can clarify that further. This piece looks fantastic. I really think it came a long way. I really do. You did a good job there. Let's move to the next piece. Stephen King, again, I would highly consider using a full magazine, I'm sorry, a full book cover design here, meaning it would be a cover for a hard cover book, meaning it would include a spine, inside dust flap front and back, and a back cover. And that's what somebody's going to be looking at for, you rarely design a book cover just the cover. That's just not how it's done. I mean, that's a good concept, but it's just not how it's done. Now, somebody else had made an interesting comment about trying to conform the bloody handprint to the balloon, and I thought that was a really interesting comment. And that would just go in there and transform, do a free transform. You can warp that to accommodate the curvature of that balloon. I think that would be a very, very interesting solution. This piece, I think this is a good piece. It would, to me, make more sense. To me, this is the front of the menu and this is the back. Because when you come into a restaurant, and I was in the restaurant business for many years, and I know that when you do your hostess or your server hands the menu cover side up, and that's what they would cover. So the viewer gets to see, your guest gets to see the logo and the front instead of just jumping right into like, hey, okay, what do you want? You know what I'm saying? In this page size, I would recommend, since this part of this back of front of the menu is not holding a whole lot of information, what you can do is you can present that, let's say somewhere like this, okay, and then overlap the back of it, because that's where it has all the information, and overlap it like that, so that it'll fit on that page size. But again, my recommendation would be a different page size altogether. That's a good piece, looks fantastic. I'm noticing that on some of your work, you have these really harsh drop shadows. If you're going to drop shadows, don't use default. Really get in there, modify to soften that up considerably. I don't even think you need them. I think that, this right here looks great without those drop shadows. So if you're going to use them at all, really, really tone those down. Same thing here, same kind of orientation. You're kind of stuck in this orientation, which it almost looks like you're forcing this work into the 8.5 by 11 page. So again, that points to page size. Good looking piece, really good looking piece. Good job. Raw book, I think that you could probably even go into Photoshop and adjust these levels just even a little bit more, bring out the contrast so we can see those wonderful drawings just a little bit better. I would remove the grayscale page. I'd go straight from your sketches to these gorgeous color studies. Okay, then we go to the initial illustration, which was good, But the final piece is fantastic. I think this was the smartest move I've seen in a piece in a long time. This was a very, very smart move. The bottom of the boat, instead of that kind of muddy water up there, it just indicates underwater. I mean, you feel like you're underwater looking at this thing, and it's fabulous. Good job. Very good job there. Only recommendation there would be to watch your regs. Your regs, you want to go long, short, long, short. You don't want to have any kind of patterns like this wave, whoop, right there, nothing like that. And then some of your lines are really significantly longer or shorter than their neighbors. Okay, so good job, the relax campaign. I would recommend that if you're going to keep the tagline with the headline, keep it there throughout the entire composition. Right here, it looks like you moved it because it wouldn't fit up there. That's what it looks like to me, and that was what it's going to look like to an experienced designer. So instead of doing that, try to rethink that solution so you don't have to separate that information. You see, it's the only one that's separated through the whole thing. We talked about animations. If you can get that to animate, that would be fantastic. This is a good piece. Fish looks great. I think the new logo here is just wonderful. I really do. I think it's really a good logo. As a matter of fact, I think this whole piece is phenomenal. I really do. I think it's just a fantastic piece. Love the process, and I guarantee you anybody looking at this portfolio is going to take a second, third, and fourth glance at these wonderful sketches showing your ideas here. Grayscale's good, good. Okay, nice job. Now, this gets fantastic. Nice job. Good stationary system. And this is great. This is exactly what I was talking about. This is perfect. Exactly what you need. Really good job there. Then you have the website. You have your website again. Animate if you can. That'd be great. Good job removing the square. It looks like honestly, it looks like you placed a white box over that, so you can kind of still see the color underneath that. So. Yeah, definitely. That's look like what you can see the background with where that white is. So I'm guessing that. So you would just want to recompose that. Make sure you don't see that. Yeah, just you've got a good portfolio here. Mock-ups are just going to be incredible for you once you learn how to mock these up. Electives, mixed media, fantastic work. I love your portfolio. I think you've just come so far. Mock-ups, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I mean, you described a lot of what you're talking about right here. So I really appreciate your honesty in that. Okay, 7 minutes was my goal. I'm over that, so sorry about that. Awesome class. Loved having you. Any questions at all? Feel free to keep my contact information since I'm familiar with your work. And don't hesitate to contact me for any future needs. Okay, thank you very much. Good job.